Yo, what's poppin'? All my peeps, it is I, your host of the most Renaissance man who always thinks he can, and your champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, back once again in the Yard of Streams for another edition of the Smackdown Breakdown, part of Pitts and Sara's wrestling show, where we take no nights off. And it's not just me, Patty P, here in the Art of Streams. I'm joined, as always, by the best of the West. You can't forget about Sara Marshall. What's popping, girl?
Hey, yo.
Hello.
Hi. What's popping? Hi there.
Ew,
Hi.
it's so gross.
How's it going?
Ew.
How you doing?
Ew.
I don't know why I love doing that wave. It's like the Princess Parade wave.
No, it's
Where
like a
it's
little
like-
baby wave. It's like
That's what, yeah, it's a baby, but it's the Princess Parade, and they're certainly they got their target of
I guess
the little girl or guy or
Yeah.
boy that they want to see. And
yeah.
they're like, hi, yeah, I'm waving at you. That's how I feel. I'm waving at each and every one of the peeps here in the chat. I'm waving at you too, Sara.
All right.
Acknowledging your presence here.
Thank you.
All right? We need to be acknowledged. All right, we need to start being acknowledged because I've been following my YouTube people that I do whatnot. And one Wrestle Trivia, the account by Kevin J. Callis on YouTube that does Wrestling Jeopardy. It's became low key one of my favorite accounts on YouTube because I come home from like a long day of work and I just sit there and bang out trivia because I need to feel good, whatnot. It's good. I think we should do it on here. Like some of the questions, obviously you're gonna get. You're like, all right, that's from 1960 or 70 or something. So like, we're obviously not gonna remember it, but there are other majority of the questions are, shit that we know.
Yeah.
So, and I do want to take on the Stash Club Bros if we see them in Vegas. I do want to do like a tag team.
Are they going?
I don't know. They haven't mentioned it on their show yet, but I didn't know they were going last year, and then they did.
Oh.
Because they were doing stuff that I want to do this year, where they were going up to people and doing their own like quiz or whatnot. We should do that. Like I want to do that and see the peeps and all of that because we went as fans last year. It was awesome. Like that was probably the best first experience to have with WrestleMania. Obviously, with the show being what it was, but not just that, the other things like the WWE World, like Wale Mania, like, even the Hall of Fame was a cool thing to see, but whatnot. So we gotta try. We got a couple 62 days until WrestleMania. 62 days. I think I saw it was 64 on Friday. So that would mean 62 today. Not 62 degrees outside, Sara. It's fucking cold out here. We had a terrible storm. It was snow and then rain. So it's heavy, wet snow.
It's 72 degrees here.
Oh,
So
that sounds so nice.
I hate it. I hate it.
You don't know. You just I don't think you hate it.
It's
I think
only no, I
just
do.
Tired of the same.
It's only February. So,
but I think it's you being tired of the same. There's no like your cold is going to be 70s, maybe low 60s, where it was 19 degrees yesterday when I left for work.
I'm so jealous though.
Oh
I'm
my
jealous.
God.
I love winter.
I understand. Me too. I love
being able to wear my boots and my long sleeve shorts and my jackets and my hats.
A sweatshirt. It's wrapping yourself in a sweatshirt.
Yeah, I can't do that here.
One of the simple pleasures in life.
Yeah.
I will say. That thank God for that sweatshirt back to WrestleMania that I got last year at night one. The double XL one. It's low key became my favorite sweatshirt. And so it's a little big though. Just a little too big. Let's hear from the peeps. We got someone from Twitter. What's poppin'? Wonder if they see or pay attention to these. We do when they pop up. We just don't get a lot of chats from Twitter, Jalen. We would
Yeah.
love chats from Twitter. We'd like chats from anywhere as long as you're talking with us, conversating with us about the product itself and helping grow the channel. I don't care where your comments are from.
Mhm.
Nathaniel is excited to hear that 42 is in New Orleans.
Mhm.
Rock Roman there potentially. Will never happen. So you there the match. Yeah, we agree. I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
otherwise it's not happening, he said. If it doesn't happen next
yeah.
year, it's not happening.
Oh, if it doesn't happen the next year, then I don't see
Yeah.
it realistically happening because
I
of The Rock going back to Hollywood because
My
it's
problem
rumored
is,
right now.
how do you push it out for another year, though? You know what I mean? Like, they barely did enough to have it pushed out till 41, right? And then it was like, okay, you felt like the 2 times that The Rock showed up or whatever, it was like, "Okay, alright, we can still get behind this." And then we saw what happened at the Netflix Raw debut, and that
Mm,
squashed it, and so I'm like, "How do you reignite that now?" 'Cause, like, everything with the bloodline is kinda dying down, and, like, they're trying to hype it up right now, which we'll talk about, but, like,
mhm.
it's not the same. It's not at the same level it was a year ago, so
No, it's not. Sophia got her boyfriend Alex Seth
mm,
Rollins action figure for Valentine's Day.
very
That's very
nice.
sweet. That's
I
very
Did you
sweet
see
of
they're
you.
doing an invisible John Cena one? They're doing
I did.
two ones that are clear. I'm like, "I kinda want it."
That's hilarious. I got Uggs for Valentine's Day, so not
I got
lucky me
nothing.
there. Well, all right. Well,
It was Singles Awareness Day for
it
me.
was it was very much singles awareness in that case. Sup, Jay? How you doing?
What up?
So Finn is gonna do something so Priest can't win the chamber, right? No,
I hope not. I don't
no,
think
and
so.
that
I think they're done
no,
with that. I hope they're done with that
yeah,
anyway.
no, that's they're done with that. I
They're
just
on different shows now, so it feels that would feel pointless.
we'll talk about Priest being in the chamber, obviously, but it does seem like a move where you had to put someone in there that is on the cusp of, you know, that lower
Well,
tier
to
main
match
event.
like Logan.
Exactly. You can't just have Starve to start. I thought Jacob Fatu was going to be in there,
Yeah.
but once he did, he's once we saw that he is not. I was like, okay, it's not the worst thing in the world. Would just been nice to see.
Yeah.
Um, oh, wrong championship, pal. Sorry. All right, moving on, Nathaniel. Great segue because I don't want to talk about AEW right now.
All right.
Because we're talking good things.
Yeah.
We're going to talk positive things,
Yeah.
and this is definitely
So
one of them.
Cody is the one who kicks off SmackDown, and now that we know the winner from the Elimination Chamber will be facing Cody at Mania, since Jay officially picked Gunther on Raw. Obviously, that's going to become the storyline over the next several weeks, but especially until Elimination Chamber. So Cody knows, okay, these guys in the chamber, one of them I'm gonna have to deal with. And but after he kind of what disrespected me means Drew comes out,
He
and I'm
did
sorry, but I am so intrigued by the potential of Drew versus Cody, and I know it's not going to happen, but my God, that would be spectacular.
soon. I don't think it's going to happen soon, but within the year, oh, I could see it absolutely happening. Just not before WrestleMania.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is like there feels like from the elimination chamber and there's still one spot left. Um it feels like a lot of what is going to happen at Mania is going to come out of the elimination chamber match. So whatever happens in there, what other whatever shenanigans happen during that match is what is going to set up a few other matches, I feel like. So whatever Drew is going to do, it's like, okay, what I and then that's the thing is like I have no idea. I and even with who's going to face Cody, we have no idea. You think it's going to be one way, you think it's going to be another. There's triple threats being thrown around. Um, but it feels like a lot of the big players are the ones that we don't have any idea of what they're going to be doing. And I feel like that might be why people kind of feel a little bit unsettled about what WrestleMania 41 is going to be. We have 2 matches already. We're going to talk about the second one that we find out from SmackDown in a little bit, but there's only 2 matches and they're not really anything that you couldn't have predicted because of the Rumble winners. So
Yeah.
like everything else makes it feel, I don't know, maybe that's why people aren't as excited about it.
To me, it feels that people aren't as excited about it after last year. They
Mhm.
have the expectation from last year how insane that build to WrestleMania was with the star power of The Rock, Cody, Roman, Seth, with the bloodline storyline, I would say at its peak.
Mhm.
When you have a whole bunch of other factors that are going into it, that played a part in how excited you got. I mean, it ended up being, I would say, one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time.
Mm.
With this year, it doesn't feel like that because it's reverting back to old school WWE building up of WrestleMania. You're not supposed to know right now. There's supposed to be a lot of different options. I am on the same boat as you with thinking about Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes. That could be a WrestleMania main event in itself. It really
Yeah.
could be,
Yeah.
but you also have to factor in CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and
Yeah.
there's so many question marks revolving revolving around those guys that your excitement level isn't for the matches itself, it's for the event itself because of the unknown.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, I think the unpredictability is something that was kind of lacking last year, and that was something that people were hoping for. And now that we have
Mhm.
it, you're kind of yearning for the predictability factor
Correct, yeah.
because you just kind of want to know what to look forward to. And I'm sure for some people, it's like you want to know because maybe you're thinking about going to Mania and you don't really want to go and pay all that money if you don't know like
Mhm.
enough in advance what's actually going to be happening. Which makes sense, but um I think it's also something like you people don't really know what they want either. I think
No.
that's part
The
of the
fickle
problem.
pickles,
Yeah,
Seth.
it's like so many different matches have been floated. I mean, Drew versus Cody is like the latest one for Cody,
Mhm.
but then we've also seen Punk versus Cody and Cena versus Cody, and we've seen Cena versus Punk versus Cody. It's like nobody knows what they want, and we keep highlighting all these different ideas, and the reason that they keep changing is because people can't decide what they would be happiest with. So, I think obviously the Elimination Chamber is going to give us a lot of clarity on what's going to happen. And then it'll make sense because, like you were just saying, we're like a little less than 9 weeks away from Mania. So there's a long time until the show. So if Drew
It's so
McIntyre is that guy, though, I couldn't complain. Drew
I
versus Cody
wouldn't
would be great.
no, it would be.
If
And
that's the direction, obviously.
it is. That's a crazy thing. I would like to see it, but I also would like to see CM Punk versus Cody for the
Yeah.
championship. I'd like to see um I wouldn't I wouldn't mind seeing Seth Rollins versus Cody. I mean it's
I don't
happened
want to.
before, whatnot, but
I know.
like
I just don't want to for the
I would
fourth time.
rather I would rather see that though over Cody Roman again, to be quite
Yeah.
honest with you.
Well, and the thing that would make it interesting for it to be Seth versus Cody is there was never a title involved the other times that they
Never a
fought.
title.
So
And
that
Cody
makes it a
went
little bit
3-0.
different, but yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But we'll see. But this moment led to, of course, Jacob Fatu coming out because they were having a match, a triple threat qualifier at the end. But before even talking about that, it's actually incredible how over Jacob Fatu is. And it's not even surprising because we knew that this was going to happen the second that it was leaked online. Like, hey, Jacob Fatu got signed to WWE. And then we were all talking about how adding him into the Bloodline 2.0 is going to be a little bit sketchy because people were so excited that he was joining WWE, and if they weren't going to make him the leader of the new bloodline, which of course we knew that they weren't going to because of Solo Sikoa, that it might be a little bit problematic because people had more of a reaction to Jacob Fatu than they ever have for Solo Sikoa, and they kind of booed him for the most part when he was, doing the whole "I love you" Solo thing. Now that he's kind of branched off over the past month
Oh,
or
he's
so,
yeah.
we hear Fatu, Fatu, Fatu every night, and they're still trying to push this guy like you're supposed to hate him. And I'm like, you guys, I
You
get what you're
can't hate
trying
him.
to do, but it's not working. It's not
He's
even
so over.
Tamatonga is over. It's like,
They
and it's,
love to because they have something. Yeah, 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 yeah,
I
yeah, yeah, yeah.
know.
Shh.
And
Yeah, 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 yeah,
and
yeah,
he
yeah.
panders to the crowd for it, you know what I mean? And that's
It's
not
brilliant.
something that generally heels will do, because they don't want you to cheer along with them. They want a reaction, but not generally like a favorable reaction. So it's
No.
interesting because I'm like, how are they going to go about this? But I mean, they have a superstar already.
They have a superstar and they have someone where he can carry himself pretty well. He does not need the bloodline attached to him
Hmm.
for him to make his name in WWE. Having Tamatonga not have a microphone and not do the yeah, 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 like to introduce
Hmm.
him going right into it. You can tell that they see him in the world title picture sooner rather than later, which makes more sense because he was more over than Solo.
I know.
And what he brings to the bloodline is not someone who just is doing I love you Solo for a year and a half. Just launch him to the moon now. Look at what he did in the triple threat match. Like,
Mm, I
the man
know.
is a goddamn star.
I still feel like they missed out on making an "I love you" Solo shirt, because I would have bought that and bought that so quick. As long as it wasn't ugly, I would have bought that so quick because I was obsessed with that.
Now it's
Um, so good. But it is interesting because they're going with this single push kind of with him right now, and based off of what we saw on SmackDown, it kind of feels like we might be getting a Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa at Mania. Maybe, I don't know. They might try and do it at Elimination Chamber. I feel like
mm,
it's more of an Elimination Chamber match than a Mania match. But
well,
if they want to highlight the both of them, then they might want to push it till Mania.
there's also a elimination chamber match that was announced that is more of a mania match, but to each their own.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna talk about that, right?
We'll talk about that. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I saw it.
So,
Hi,
um,
Dylan.
I do think it's going to be interesting to see what they end up doing with Jacob, though, because if the crowd continues to react this way, generally, when it comes to professional wrestling, you kind of have to go with how the crowd is going. Like, if they're not giving you the reaction that you're trying to get, you kind of have to go the other way. I mean, we were just talking about it with Charlotte. Although I still think that they brought Charlotte back as a heel. People don't believe that. They think they brought her back as a babyface and that they had to
It's
change
actually, yeah, it was
that.
told. I saw that she was brought back to be the face during her feud with Tiffany, but
Yeah, see, I don't
they had
agree
a
with it,
pivot.
but yeah, see,
Why? Okay.
I don't agree with that, but if we're gonna use that as the latest example, then they might have to do that with Jacob, and if they have him go against Solo, then it makes sense, right? Like that they make him the good guy in the situation. Also, would be interesting if they're gonna do that with Tamatonga, because then it's like, well, if he's gonna be Jacob's little sidekick, then he would have to be a good guy too, and I am here for it. But I want everybody who has been, booing Mr. Tamatonga, take a step back, go to the back of the line. Okay. Some of us have appreciated him. Okay. And just because you're supposed to cheer for him now doesn't mean that you are up at
I'm
the
always
front.
cheering for him.
Okay. Um, let's see. Okay, hold on. Let's go. Nathaniel says, is Randy Orton missing WrestleMania? I don't think so. I think he's gonna have,
No,
we'll
it's
talk about it.
oh, we are gonna okay, because
Yeah.
there's news today. Okay, you saw it too? Good. I'm
I
glad
did
we're on the
not see
same
the
yeah.
news. No, go ahead.
Oh, oh, it's rumors floating around right now that's gonna be KO versus Randy at
Mm.
WrestleMania.
Okay, that was my guess, but yeah.
Yeah.
Um, oh,
Oh.
If you could
Oh,
delete one forever between Tony Khan and Dave
oh.
Meltzer, who would you choose?
See, here's my thing, is that the easy answer to me is get rid of TK, but with
Mhm.
that, you get rid of the Bank of Con, which is funding AEW, and AEW just
Yeah.
needs to be funded. They're on the right path, just TK is bringing them down. But goddamn, a world without Meltzer sounds like a real happy place for the IWC. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a
Um
tough one, Jay. I'm gonna lock in, and I'm gonna say Meltzer. I'm gonna say Meltzer.
Jackson said The Rock is what made last year's
He
build
did.
perfect. Yeah, after they
He did.
forced him to do the pivot.
Doesn't matter.
I'm
He
just
still
saying
made
you
it
can't
perfect.
that's how it was. Jay, I don't
That
think Drew's winning either. I think it's gonna
I
be
don't
Punk.
either.
Um
I
Cody
think
versus
it's Cena.
Cena is
I
still
think it's
on
gonna be
there.
Cena.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
no, I
still
think
up
it's gonna
there.
be Cena who wins. I think Cena wins the chamber.
Jay also says Jacob is becoming face sort of like Rhea Ripley. Yeah, it's kind of like they might have
Yeah,
to just lean into it. It's just gonna,
because everybody's obsessed with mommy.
yeah, and people are obsessed with Jacob. Um, what's up, Dylan? I agree, Jay. He says that they need to push the mid card titles more. I agree, men
See,
and women.
that's why I think Lyra and I mean it's inevitable we're gonna be talking about next, but that's why Chelsea lost too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, let's see. I can say yay, but that's it. I don't know. I can't speak
Yeah,
other
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Tongan,
yeah, yeah,
if
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what you
yeah,
mean.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Um,
No.
all right, so we saw another women's elimination chamber qualifying match between Naomi and Chelsea Green, and I feel like everybody knew Chelsea wasn't going to win. Just like Lyra wasn't going to win because it doesn't make any sense to have mid card champions in a match for a title opportunity. And I think this is fine. Like I'm not overly thrilled. I don't really care. Like, of course, I like Naomi, but like I'm not. I mean, I'm not like super
You're
excited
not her
for.
super fan. You're not her
No,
super fan.
no.
We're
I
not
love.
super fans, but we love Naomi. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, like if I had to choose between Naomi and Chelsea, I'll pick Chelsea. I love Naomi, but like in this instance, she should have won. Naomi should have won. Um,
Makes
I
most sense.
think
Because
the
Bianca's in it too.
yes, and I
Keep
think
in
that
mind.
is where we can just pivot to here
Yeah,
because
we don't need to talk about the match because I
yeah,
want to talk about this, Sarah.
yeah. So we have been sitting here wondering for literal months at this point about what was going on with Jade Cargill. I mean, I think we were just talking about it a lot last week specifically. Um, trying to think of like, okay, when is this going to get figured out? Who is it going to be? Because, the elimination chamber is happening in a couple weeks. And now we know for sure that Naomi and Bianca are both in it. And we were like, okay, maybe something happens in this match and that's what sets it up. Maybe Jade's the last one or Jade comes out and interrupts. We don't know. So Nick Aldis showed them footage from the night of her near unaliving, and we see Nia Jax and Liv Morgan running from the scene, and so it's like, oh, okay, it was them. But I think everybody in their wrestling mind know that this is not telling the entire story because nothing is ever as it seems in wrestling, especially something like this. And I think that the consensus is hoping that this is not the real footage, that this is not the real end of the story, and that we are going to see something develop with Naomi and Bianca in regards to Jade.
It seems that this is the band-aid solution. You know what I mean? This is the way where you can give an answer on or a progression on who attacked Jade, getting be with that being doing that, getting Bianca and Naomi into a rivalry or feud with them two, potentially to get those belts off. And then it still leaves an open door for when Jade comes back to give the real story. So that, and if that's the case, I do like this because Bianca and Naomi need to get the tag team titles off them.
Yeah.
I love what they've done for them. They've made them relevant again. but they also made them relevant to the point where we want others to carry them. I would love to see Raquel and Liv have a little bit of a reign with them. I'd like to see an NXT tag team have a
Mhm.
little bit of a reign with them.
Mhm.
Maybe after Chelsea loses the U.S. title and it is done with all this, maybe her and Piper go on a little. Like there are other teams that are much more deserving of the women's tag team titles right now, and it's not Bianca and Naomi. What's a way to get them on the belts off them is something like this, like a little red herring to throw you off track a little bit to get them off, and then we can go back and revisit it. Because just because you saw the footage of that footage of them walking away, Jade's still not back.
Mhm.
There has not been said when she will be back, and she's the one who can give you the full story. We don't
Well,
need footage if it's her. So that's why to me this is one big red herring.
it'll be interesting if she comes back in like at the elimination chamber during that match and she takes out Bianca or Naomi, but then you have to question who is she taking out? Is she
Mm,
taking out the person who attacked her, or is she taking out the person who took her title?
mm-hmm.
Because that could,
Correct.
I mean, you would
Right.
assume it would be the person who attacked her, but that is, I don't know. I
This
feel
is
like
wrestling.
it could be a really good storyline, and I hope that they go about it the right way, especially because it's been so pushed out. I think that wasn't necessarily the plan, because I,
No.
I I believe that they reported that Jade actually was legitimately hurt, and that was the main reason that they had to write her off TV. So obviously you can't rush somebody back from injury, but I would like to think that if they're still talking about this, because this is a story that if this were during the Vince era, we would have seen Jade on the front of the car and it'd be like, who attacked her for like 2 weeks, and then we would have forgotten about it. And then she would
Mm-hmm.
have, they would have wanted us to forget about it. And then she'd come back and it's like, oh, she's back from injury. And you'd forget that she was like taken out on a vehicle. You know what I mean? So,
Exactly.
like,
There would have been no follow up.
yeah, and so the fact that they're still doing that, it makes it feel like, okay, this is going to be a big story, right? Like this is going to be a
Mm-hmm.
big thing for the women's division on SmackDown. It's just how they go about it that is the scary part, I think.
The
Oh.
look of relief on Bianca's face with that
Mm.
footage. I watch a lot of crime shows to know that it was her who sent it. I mean,
Yeah.
me too, Dylan. I love
Yeah.
my good true crime.
Yeah.
That's why we're saying there's got to be
It
more to this
it
story.
has to be Bianca because she's the one who benefited from it, right? Like, I mean,
That's what I said from the
Naomi,
beginning. I said it was Bianca, and everyone's like, "No, she was in the
I
match.
know.
How could she take her out?" It's like, what do you think she was doing before the match?
Yeah, but
How
see,
long do
this
you
is
think
the
she was
thing.
laying there for?
I get it because it's like, oh, well, Naomi took her out because Naomi wanted to be a tag team champion. Why would she do that? What's so good about being a tag team champion when they were competing for the US title, women's US
Mm-hmm.
title? This feels more of like what I think it should be is Bianca feeling like Jade was taking her star power from her. Like Jade was overshadowing her. You know what I mean? Like that's the way that I feel like Bianca could go about it, where it's like Bianca can say that she was used to being the girl. She was the EST. She still is, but when Jade was around, it wasn't the same. Blah blah blah. It just be a jealousy thing or something. Um, and I think that's the easiest way for them to make Bianca a heel. I think Bianca needs it more than Naomi. I think
Oh
Bianca
yeah.
needs the change way more than Naomi does.
Oh, 1,000% she needs to change because we need to see another side of Bianca that we haven't seen before. With a darker side to Bianca in the title picture, it it gives her another avenue to go on where it's new and exciting and fresh.
Well, and I think that adds an interesting heel into the women's division
Mm.
because a lot of the heels in the women's division right now, it's like Nia Jax, and it's like, yeah, she's gigantic. It's like that's why like she's scary, but it's like why don't we have a more normal looking girl, even if she's strong? Like she's scary because it's like she's so good and she's so evil. She took out her friend, like that kind of stuff. I feel like we need more of like a layered heel than just, oh, she's big and scary. That's
Yeah,
why we don't like
exactly.
her.
No, we do.
And I don't know, I'd be into it. So I hope that's what they do. We'll have to wait, but um Jay says, how would Naomi know Bianca would choose her to be because she was around. She was like the third wheel. She was always the third wheel with.
She was the third person at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
That was
So
the whole point. Three.
yeah. And I think
What is
that
it?
like Bianca wouldn't have cared if she lost the tag title because she wanted the women's US title, because that was when this all happened. Was Jade got taken out of the tournament, the qualifying tournament. But yeah. Then we have LA Knight. I'm so confused. We've talked about this, but I'm so confused with what they're doing with LA Knight. I have no idea. What are they doing? This man was the US champion. They took it off him, didn't have him really do anything in a follow-up with Shinsuke. They've then had him in like tournaments. They've kind of teased him going after Cody. They then have him doing like random things with like other mid-carders. Now they have him going back at Shinsuke. Well, it's like, I don't understand what they're doing. I feel like they don't know what they're doing with him either. And that's unfortunate because this is LA Knight.
Yeah, I don't have an answer. I don't know either. I usually would have some sort of reason for LA Knight being in this land of, I can't think of the word right now. But the point is, I think what he's doing right now is just kind of floating. He's just helping the show move forward, not really helping himself move forward. It seems like he's in limbo. That's what he's in, limbo between losing the title, going and facing whoever the champion is. It felt like it was a missed opportunity to not have him in the Elimination Chamber. I feel like he would have been someone to benefit in the Elimination Chamber over Damian Priest.
Yeah, because in that case, it feels like they're trying with Damian Priest, but it's not getting the reaction that they want. It's like LA Knight is still getting that reaction, but they're not trying to do that with him right now because he's like already established that, as opposed to Priest, where they're trying to like continue that momentum. And it's like, but LA Knight has been sitting around doing nothing. Like Damian Priest was just the world heavyweight champion not even 6 months ago. So like, I don't know. It's just weird. And it's like, it's weird when you think about it too. Last year, he was in a program with AJ Styles, and that his first Mania match was with AJ Styles. And now we're like, is he even going to be on the card? Like, and it's, I don't know. I just think it's crazy because it feels, unless they do something pretty drastic, it feels like they're fumbling with LA Knight. And
do you think he should go to Raw?
I kind of feel like they need him because I've felt like he was a Raw guy for a long time anyway, and
you said that when we were drafting rosters.
Yeah, like 2 years ago is when I was like, all right, LA Knight needs to be on Raw, and then he went to SmackDown. I was like, fuck, and then he stayed on SmackDown. I was like, god damn it, I think he needs to be on Raw, because that's just a whole change of people to deal with, and that's kind of like why they did it with Drew McIntyre. It feels like LA Knight is in the same category where it's like, yeah, he needs to be around different people if they're not going to do anything with him. And he could easily be going after the Intercontinental title. Like they're trying to make that title relevant with Braun Breaker and whatever they're doing over there. If they're not going to have anything going on with the U.S. title, the Intercontinental title still feels superior to the U.S. title. So if they felt like, LA Knight became too big for the U.S. title, okay, then move him over to Raw and make him Intercontinental champion. Because there's
just Intercontinental champion? Why not world champion?
Well, even eventually,
that's where I see LA Knight as bigger than the mid card titles. Period. Why waste his time there where we can just launch him to the main event picture, have him go up against guys like Gunther, Jey Uso, Seth Rollins, Sammy's on Raw, Sammy. So like he could fit perfectly in that picture. Why are we not doing it?
Yeah, it feels like he's and I've said this before, he's a victim of circumstance. Because before he was US champion, they had it, stuck, and in irrelevancy. Then they put it on Logan Paul, who was never around. Then he had no shot at ever being champion because of Roman
Mhm.
Reigns being champion. Then they made Cody the champion, so he has no chance of becoming champion again, and then once they made him US champion, they took it off him pretty quickly. And so they just have him swimming around doing nothing. And it's like, this guy is far too talented to just be doing these random spots with whoever you feel like you need to put on the card because there's a 3-hour SmackDown. Like,
Mhm.
so yeah, I think he would thrive on Raw, and Dylan agrees. Nathaniel thinks that he could win the Intercontinental
Yeah, I think
title.
he's bigger. I think he's bigger than the IC title right now. Just watching from main
I
event.
agree, but I just feel like if we're going to move him, they're probably not going to put him. Well, they're not going to move him, huh? Because it's done. He's not going to move until the draft, probably.
Yeah, he won't move till the draft.
Yeah, because they said the transfer. I mean, I know they can like lie, but
Yeah,
if they're
it's
trying
risky.
to actually, hold themselves to what they say, then they won't move him until the draft because they said the transfer portal was closed.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say about this, but Carmelo Hayes on his losing streak, which is another thing that's just bizarre. Finally getting a win on SmackDown this week. And this is another person. This is the thing that we talked about. We just talked about it with all those releases. Carmelo Hayes is another one that it's like, why bring him up if you had nothing for him? And we thought that SmackDown going to 3 hours was going to be like a huge benefit to a guy like Carmelo Hayes, because that was supposed to open up a bunch of opportunities for him to be in bigger feuds and storylines and have these great matches. And then it's like they're throwing him to R-Truth, and it's like, no disrespect to
Yeah,
R-Truth, but
I don't see it that way though. I see it more in the sense where he's on TV every week. He's getting screen time every single week. He's
yeah,
being put into programs with
it's just
talented
meaningful
guys
stuff.
in there. He's being put in segments with guys who are, I wouldn't say just extremely good, but masters in a sense at that domain, like that 7-match series with Andrade.
Yeah.
That's Andrade is one of the best, if not the best, in-ring talent on the SmackDown roster. So to
Mm-hmm.
have him get in the midst there, whatever, you know, being the chirpy kid who's just in the ear of Jey Uso, whatnot, then he gets in a match with Jimmy Uso, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and he's now he got to work with Jimmy Uso. Now he's getting to work with R-Truth, another veteran. So it's him. Yeah, on the surface to us, it looks like, come on, like have him fight for the US picture again, for US title against Nakamura. But he's working with all these top guys and veterans every week. So it seems that you can't rush it, and that good big things are ahead. We
Mm-hmm.
can't say the same for other people who you don't see on SmackDown every week. At least we're seeing Mello every single week on programming.
I think it's just wanting to see him in something meaningful. You know what I mean? That's
True.
that's the thing that I usually have. Like if I'm like, it's the same thing with LA Knight. For the most part, LA Knight has been on TV every single week. So it's like, can you complain about that? No. But you would like to see him in something meaningful, like he's fighting for something, or if it's not a championship, he's still like in an exciting feud that makes you want to see what's going to happen next week, instead of being
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, who's he gonna get into a bump backstage with and leads to a match, and I feel like Carmelo is kind of in the same situation. So um I still have hope that for however long that SmackDown is going to be 3 hours, that it'll get better, because I know a lot of people are still not on board with 3 hour SmackDown. Still, it's one of those things that's still so mind boggling to me, because I understand that they have to fill in a whole other hour that they haven't had to do for SmackDown ever, but
Yeah.
you have the talent on your roster to make that interesting. It shouldn't be, oh my gosh, there's 18 commercial breaks and a ton of backstage segments to fill the time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, if you wanted to put on a half-hour match between Carmelo Hayes and Andrade, people would not complain about a 3-hour SmackDown if we were getting that kind of quality stuff on TV every week.
Mm-hmm.
So
Agreed.
I'm hoping that we get to that kind of point where we don't have to be sitting here talking about back-to-back superstars and like, what are they doing? What are they doing? You know?
Yeah.
So, um,
Nakamura, that's the thing. I think Nakamura has been on because we're finding who's going to be his challenger. Miz threw his hat in the ring as
mhm.
potentially being someone who can beat him or be a U.S. champ, and that's going to be a shtick. Nakamura, it just seems right now he's doing a little character change. Like he's doing a branching off of his usual gimmick and going more into the Shogun realm, like more of a warrior. It's just like I don't know. I don't see it
I
being a long-term thing with Nakamura.
I think his character is so good. It's just wrong
It's very
time.
good.
It's just wrong time because
Yeah.
it feels like this is something that they should have done like 5 years ago. You know what I mean? Where it's
Mm,
like Shinsuke needed some sort of a change, or when they originally had made him a heel and it kind of
mhm,
flopped, this is what they should have done back at that point instead. Because
mhm.
this is just so much more interesting to me. Um and they just when them trying to do this now, it's just like it's not pulling people in. It's not grabbing anybody to like, watch SmackDown or care about the US title, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Um Also, no one really cares about this, but I do. So,
Oof,
um,
clearly.
Pretty Deadly. I'm sorry, but they are finally getting their TV time. They're on TV almost every single week, even if it's not in a match. They're having a backstage segment, and to me, they're like the male Chelsea Green, male Chelsea Greens. Yeah,
Yes.
because they kill it every single time. They could have 2 minutes backstage. They could have a 30-second, like they're just in the background of a backstage moment, and they make the most of it. And so I'm really excited that they're getting a program with DIY, and they might be getting the tag team titles soon. I mean, I'm not
I think
saying
I think we should put the straps on them. I'm
I do
for it.
too. I
I'm
almost
for it.
I
Why
kind
not?
of
They'd be so hilarious with them. Like they
I
would.
know.
Oh, they'd make them feel so important.
I know. And nothing against DIY. Maybe this, oh my god, can you imagine this as a Mania match? Oh my god, I would probably cry. I
I
would
would.
would I be
Them
more
winning it
sad
in a
about
Mania match would be insane.
I would I would be I might almost be sadder if I didn't get to be at Mania for Pretty Deadly's first match than seeing John Cena's last Mania match.
Mm.
That's
You
crazy. But that's how much I
we're
love my
gonna be
boys.
relatively there. We're gonna be there, kind of.
I know, but I'm
Be
just
outside the
excited.
stadium at a bar.
Yeah. I'm just excited because I've been advocating for them for how many years at this point. So it's like,
Two
and
or
I
three.
also feel like the fans are kind of coming around to them in a little way. Like I'm not saying that they're getting huge reactions or anything, but I feel like people are kind of starting to realize like, oh no, these guys are fun. Like they're
They're
actually fun to watch. They're hilarious. I don't know. I know that not everyone's going to love them, but um I also thought it was funny when I was reading, just so that I can go through and like write the headline things here. And
mhm.
then it's like talking about this moment and how, they get into it, and Pretty Deadly's like defending themselves for what they did against DIY. And then it somehow gets taught, the conversation somehow turns into Gargano not wearing pants when he wrestles. And it's like, how did we get from point A to point B? Like, I don't
Like
know.
that's why they're so good. Just little jabs like that. You're just
Mhm.
like throwing off. You're just like, yeah.
Yeah,
I
you don't even
what
wear
about that?
pants. You don't even wear
Like what
pants to
about that?
wrestle. Yeah, what's wrong with you? I know, it's hilarious. So, get behind them now, guys. Okay. Dylan said, "Sarah, we're getting close to our boys when you go." I know. I'm telling you right now, if they do, I'm gonna be emotional because those are my boys. Dylan says that he popped when the Iconics won. I don't see why Pretty Deadly can't do the same. Exactly, just
Yeah,
a better title
yeah.
run from that though, and they don't split up because they did my girls dirty when they did that with the
I
Iconics.
was shocked about the Iconics.
I loved that. Yeah, I will dance. Of course I will. Okay. And that's the thing. People don't realize that they were multi-time tag team champions in NXT, NXT UK. So like this idea that they're not good or they're not deserving or they're not like title worthy
Worthy.
wrestlers, it's like, guys, they were a big. I mean, there's a reason they were a big draftee when they got called up 2 years ago, is because they were on top of everything in NXT. I mean, they were like the hosts of Stand and Deliver. You know, they had big time
Um,
matches. Yeah, hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Stand and deliver.
Oh my god, I'm obsessed. I can't. Um
that was awesome.
anyway, so we wanted to talk about this um because we were like, okay, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn is definitely happening now. And we were hoping that it was going to be at WrestleMania because, hello, it's Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They're best friends. They face each other like 8,000 times. Why not have these guys face each other on the biggest stage of all at WrestleMania?
Why
But
not?
it looks like we're going to be getting it at Elimination Chamber instead, simply because it's in Canada, which I think is like, okay, that's whatever. And because of the rumors that say that we're probably going to be getting Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton at Mania, which has always been on the table because it's like Randy Orton is not going to miss WrestleMania again. Like it's not going to happen. And it makes sense that he would come back and want to go after Kevin Owens because he's the one who has taken him out for all of this time. However, it bums me out a little bit because as much as I love Randy Orton, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn at WrestleMania just feels like the move.
It does seem like the move. I totally get why you would have them interact in some sort at Elimination Chamber. This match to me, if they do the match at Elimination Chamber, feels like a DQ finish or a faulty finish where it's just them brawling and one person gets taken out and then you have the medical staff and
What if
GM and
Sami hits
producers.
him with the pile driver?
Like, that's what I mean. Like, something like that happens would be sick. And it's building to them at WrestleMania because you can't just have them have a one-off and finish this at Elimination Chamber
But
with
where
them
does Randy come into it, though? That's the thing.
at Elimination Chamber then. But then if it, what I just said is it's supposed to be Randy Orton versus KO at Mania, which to me it seems like a triple threat is too forced.
You know what? It should be
So
a handicap. When have we seen a handicap match?
I haven't. Yeah, imagine a handicap
Kevin
match.
Owens versus Randy Orton and Sami Zayn at Mania.
And what if Sammy turns on Randy?
Hell yeah! So this is what I'm saying. Like,
There's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on here.
Yeah, it's like I understand, you know, and a handicap match is never that fun necessarily, but how often do you see them? First of all, second of all, there's a lot that could come out of it, like you said. So it feels like, yeah, that would be really interesting because that gets all three of them on the card in a sensible way. Because then there's this rumor that I think fans have just started online that we're gonna get Sammy versus Karrion Kross at Mania, and it's like, no, brother, like we love Karrion Kross here, but that's not a Mania match. So, like, I don't care if Mania's 2 nights. I mean, at this point, sure, you know, we said it's like what, a little less than 9 weeks until Mania, but I don't know that they could do enough in a few weeks to get me to care that much about Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross. I don't know. And I want to see Sammy be a heel. I've been saying this for so long. Sami Zayn needs to be a heel.
Yeah, you wouldn't face Karrion Kross if
No.
you're gonna go turn to the dark side. And
have you
Karrion
ever-
Kross, that's not the role. That's not what.
No.
That I just came to. That's not Karrion Kross's role in what he's doing with Sami Zayn. He's not trying to fight Sami Zayn. He hasn't been trying to fight any of these superstars that he's been interacting with.
He wants
What
them to
he's been
welcome their
trying to
dark
do
side.
exactly, embrace the darkness inside of you to get what you want. That is the message that is being portrayed here. Having them face each other in a match doesn't do anything. Sammy going to WrestleMania and turning on Randy Orton to help his already on the dark side buddy and KO. You know, like that's leans more towards the Karrion Kross story and makes everything all canon and whatnot. So I see that being more of a thing than him versus Karrion.
And have we ever seen Sammy and Kevin be heels at the same time? I don't think we have.
Yes. Shane
Have we?
McMahon era, yes. Shane
Oh,
McMahon
that's
era when he was Shane and Daniel Bryan were the GMs, and
oh.
then they faced
Okay,
off in the Hell
but
in a Cell, and then Kurt Angle said that he had no spot for them in their tag division, but TNA was hiring.
oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, still, I don't know. I think that's interesting. It's interesting. We'll have to see, but yeah. Jay wants Cena versus Randy at Mania. I don't think that's happening. It's going to happen this year, but I don't think at Mania. And Jackson says if Elimination Chamber wasn't in Canada, then they would have this as the Mania match. That's kind of how I feel too.
Mhm.
And it's funny, like they only cater to certain people's hometowns. Cause like I remember when Beth Phoenix was like she lost the women's title in Buffalo. And it's like
Yeah.
and it was like she's home and it's like no, I remember you guys only cater. And the thing is they're going to Toronto. Neither one of them are from Toronto. So
No.
like you're
They're
only
just from Canada.
entire country. It's like with Gunther, it was like they went to Germany.
Germany.
He's home, and it's like no,
He's home. He's in his home. No, he's not.
he's in
He
his home.
just wrestled there a
He's
lot.
home. It's like no, do we do that with the U.S.? No. Like this year when they actually go to Austria, it's like yeah, okay,
Yeah, then
but
Gunther's home. But
yeah,
no,
it's
until
just
then.
hilarious. Anyway, so something that some people have been complaining about, and I think it's fair that since Tiffany Stratton cashed in the Money in the Bank briefcase on Nia Jax, Nia has not gotten her rematch, and instead they kind of like separated them, and Nia was on Raw, and then Nia got a women's world title match. Like it was very weird. And after she loses that, she's back on SmackDown and immediately gets a women's title match. And you're like, where is this coming from and why? Why are you having back-to-back title matches? You're not like Rhea Ripley, Trish Stratus, or somebody like, you know, at the top, or you're not Charlotte Flair, you know. So we finally see this match happen, and of course Tiffany Stratton retains, which is like, okay, cool. That wasn't really the point. The whole point of this was, of course, it was only a matter of time before Charlotte Flair decided that she was going to choose Tiffany Stratton for WrestleMania 41. And although I'm not like shocked about this necessarily, I kind of am just underwhelmed with what they did with the Rumble winners and how they chose their opponents this year. Like the way that they had them both go to Raw and SmackDown and talk to each champion, and then the following week they were like, "I choose you." It's like, okay, I feel like, did we really need to go through all of that? Did we need to see them have these stupid conversations with the champions? Did we need to act like they didn't know who they wanted to face just to like less than a week later be like, I choose you? Like it just seems kind of silly, but I mean, I guess at least we have confirmation in the second match for WrestleMania 41 that's been announced.
Hold on, I just want to put this quick. I'm with you on the dragging it out. I don't mind it being dragged out if it makes sense and it's not predictable, where this just felt so predictable. Like, of course, Charlotte wasn't going to be challenging Julia at Stand and Deliver.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, of course she wasn't going to be facing off against Rhea Ripley. This just seemed inevitable. I would have rather see Charlotte the first night say, you know, I'm going to challenge you, and then have Nia come out and be like, I want my rematch before. Who do you don't you think you're going to face Tiffany at WrestleMania when I demand my rematch and I'm going to be the one to beat her beforehand, or, you know, it's shit like that, you know, wrestling stuff like that would have been better. But the way they did it now with on SmackDown, which is this throwaway match, and it's setting up Tiffany versus it's just setting up Tiffany versus Tiffany and Trish taking on Nia and Candice, which this was announced.
Was it? I haven't found it. So that's why I'm like,
yeah, Tiffany, it was Trish and Tiffy and Nia and Candice at the Elimination Chamber tag team match was announced after, because Trish was there, and then Nia attacked Tiffany after the match. Candace got in the way, DQ, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Faulty finish. That's the point of this. And then Nia, Candace attacking. Trish jumps out of the crowd to save Tiffany, but then gets beat up herself, setting up this match, which I like this because the champions, this is my opinion, Sarah. I don't believe that the champions, men and women, should be in a title match at the pay-per-view before WrestleMania. I've
I
always
don't.
been under that assumption. I don't like it because it really throws off logistically the main event and the main WrestleMania plans.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, because I think if they are going to do the thing where whoever wins the Elimination Chamber faces the champion that wasn't chosen by the Rumble winner, then I feel like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense to have them in there. Obviously, there have been years where there wasn't a qualifying match or whatever for one of the titles because of the storyline, but I agree. And I think that this is a good way to showcase Tiffany again, and especially before facing somebody like Charlotte. So having her tag team with someone like Trish, going up against Nia and Candice with Charlotte waiting in the wings or whatever, it's a good way to, I don't know, get more support for Tiffany, because although people are booing Charlotte, it's like, it still depends on how the crowd is going to react in Vegas at Mania, because it is possible that she gets cheered for once the show is here, because like it really depends on the crowd that night. And like,
really does.
They don't always go along with what you're supposed to do. Like, you're supposed to be booing her, but that doesn't always happen. And I think that Tiffany versus Charlotte will be really great, and we all need to be wishing every single evening that Charlotte does not win. And I'm seeing a lot of people already saying that, like, Charlotte can't win. It's like, yeah, you're right, she can't, because that would be horrific. That would be so bad.
Can't have that.
I love it too. T-Strat, I like that.
Yes, did watch Vengeance Day. No show about it because we'll probably talk about it on Thursday's show.
And because I wasn't feeling great yesterday, that's why we didn't stream yesterday.
So sick, guys.
And you were watching AEW
Grand Slam.
Also. Yeah, so there was a lot going on yesterday.
I went in from Smackdown because I spent Valentine's Day out. Had to. It's what you do. So I had to watch Smackdown when I got home from work. So we went Smackdown, Vengeance Day, little bit of NBA stuff because they were in Australia. Time wasn't ready yet. And then into AEW Grand Slam. So it was a long night for the champ. It was a long night.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then we have the main event, which was the qualifying match between Damian Priest, Jacob Fatu, and Braun Strowman, which I find to be kind of hilarious that it's the only one that was a triple threat. I think that, like, so random.
No, last week's was.
Which one? On SmackDown?
It was, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm saying the ones on Raw, other ones have been
the ones on Raw. Singles. Yeah, the ones of Raw been singles, and then it's interesting that SmackDowns have been triple A.
But then it's like, oh, we don't have enough talent to fill out 3 hours, but we have to do qualifying match triple threats. Like, okay, whatever. I think, a lot of people wanted Jacob Fatu because they're super behind him. And I think when you think about a guy as destructive as Jacob Fatu being in an Elimination Chamber match, it's like a match made in heaven. But they're still trying to force Damian Priest on us. So he won. And, whatever. I mean, I'm not like 100% shocked, because I feel like they might be trying to keep Jacob off as long as they can. Like, they want his debut at like a big PLE in a singles match or whatever to feel big. And they probably are like, okay, we don't want to put him in Elimination Chamber because he's not going to win. And even if he's going to look great, like, we still want to reserve it. So that's why I'm thinking that they might wait until Mania, or they have him in a separate match at Elimination Chamber. But as we said, Damian Priest felt like they needed to put him in there because they can't have like every top guy in that match.
No, you can't. And Jacob still got bloodline business to deal with
With
after
Solo.
Solo. Yeah, after Solo coming back and
Mm-hmm.
Solo hitting Tama Tonga with that Samoan spike. It just feels
My
that they're
baby.
but poor guy.
Mm-hmm.
It feels that they're going to be doing something along those lines to wrap up bloodline business before he is launched into his own, does his own thing.
Yeah.
So and Damian Priest gets a lot of shit for just being Damian Priest, but he
He's
deserves a
boring.
spot in that match. He's
Because he's
not
boring.
boring.
He's
He
so boring.
that is the weirdest way to describe.
I just think he's boring as a babyface. That's the thing. A lot of the time, baby faces are boring though, because they are supposed to be like, they're the good guys. They pander to the crowd. Like they can't really say anything too controversial. You know what I mean? I think that's part of the reason why I've always gravitated the other way, because I feel like there's so much more unpredictable. There's a little bit less barricades in their way. Like they can do a lot more as a heel. And so I mean, I think with Damian Priest is it's like he's unique with being as big as he is and the way that he looks, but that's kind of like the only thing. There's not like a whole lot of like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Like I'm just bored.
I know what you mean.
But
I know what you mean. It's I have patience and I'm just
I preferred him in the Judgment
wait
Day as a bad guy. I was far more intrigued by him.
because he's in a new place. He just got here.
No, but he's
get his
been a
feet.
baby face for months.
Oh, I'm saying SmackDown. No, I'm saying on SmackDown.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
in a new setting.
Yeah, we'll
new
have to
place.
see. Yeah, as long as he stays away from Drew McIntyre, then I'm good. Stay away from Drew.
Yeah, I would
and stay away from Cody. That's all I care.
Well, I don't care. I don't care about Cody stuff.
Well, he's not going to go against Cody anyway because he's a good guy.
He
But
might.
still, stay away from Drew because I don't want to see Drew versus Damian at Mania. Please God, dear God, no. But anyway, yeah. So there's one spot left in the men's, and I think there's one spot left in the women's, right? So we'll find that out.
Here said Roxanne should get the last spot.
It's possible. We haven't really seen her like on
She had a
Raw
hell of
yet,
a-
but
yeah.
I know that they want to have her on Raw, or she is officially on Raw. I don't know. They haven't really said that. Dylan said he was the only one cheering. Oh wait, he was the only one cheering for Damian. Hey, they want you to cheer. They want you to cheer for Damian. So you're doing what you're supposed to do. Okay. And obviously people still like him. There's just some people out there like me that prefer the bad guys because I don't know. We have black hearts or something. I don't know. Trainer says Trish Stratus looked really good in the Rumble. Her movement is better than some of the current roster. Hey, let's not forget. I almost don't want to see her in another singles match because that match against Becky in the cage, you can't top that. Like, yeah. I almost only want to see her in like tag matches from now on because it's like you can't top that. And if that's your last singles match, then what a hell of a way to end your career. You know what I mean? That was nearly perfect between her and Becky. Dylan, I don't hate you, but Dylan,
I would like. I mean, I don't.
I don't
really care.
I
want to be the contrarian. I want to be the contrarian, but I was like,
You're like, I'm gonna try to be the positive one here, and like, no, even I don't want to.
No, I'm like, we started a lot on Raw. I'm good.
Yeah, I want bigger things for Drew. I mean, and that's the thing is, I feels like there's a lot of guys like what we said at the beginning of the show. There's a lot of guys who do not look like they have a clear path to Mania, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Because like I said, the unpredictability factor is welcomed sometimes, but it also then makes it difficult to even think like, how are all of these guys going to be included? And it's possible that they're not, because like there might not be enough room, or there's not even that. It's like you also don't want to put people in matches just for the sake of saying like, oh, you had a match at Mania 41,
Just so you have, yeah.
Yeah, because like Damien didn't have a match last year, but he did have his moment. So it's like, does he need to have a match this year? Probably not. Like, it doesn't need to be forced. That's the thing, is like, don't force these matches the way that they did that last year with some of them, where it was like, okay, we really want this to happen. So like, we're going to force it. And then it's like, yeah, but no one cared. I don't want to see matches that are basically filler matches at Mania. That's not what it should be. And I am kind of somebody that's like, I don't want to not see my favorites not on Mania, but Mania kind of, if we're comparing it to the Super Bowl, it's like not everybody can get to the Super Bowl. So it feels like not everybody should be on the Mania card. You know what I mean? It feels like you need to like have a compelling story or like earned your way there. And it's not to be like disrespectful or discount what people have done, but that was how Mania always was. It's like if you didn't have a Mania match, it's like it made sense. Or there were times where it was like, yeah, that person shouldn't have been left off. But given how deep the rosters are right now, I really would not be surprised if we see some people not make it and people aren't going to be happy about it. Nathaniel says, what if Becky it gets the last spot? I don't want to get my hopes up about Becky because we've been talking about Becky coming back for like months at this point and she still hasn't. So
might be this Mania might be WrestleMania 2000 tier. WrestleMania 2000 was a fun show. It's not the greatest thing top to bottom, but it's a very fun WrestleMania.
Or what if this is like it's gonna be like the WrestleMania that was 7 hours, and it's like
God,
night one is 7 hours, night 2 is 7 hours.
I remember the 8-hour long WrestleMania. My college friend, like we watched at my college house, and we watched NXT beforehand, like the takeover. We watched that in the morning.
Oh my God.
And
that's like 3 hours.
That was 3 hours because we went out the night before. We had a girl that we were friends with on the basketball team. She rented out the top of a restaurant for a party. So we went there and we woke up the next morning hungover as hell and watched NXT TakeOver. And we're like, oh, it's not gonna be long. We'll just watch one match. But then we watched the whole thing. And it's like, oh, it's WrestleMania. And like, it was 8 hours. I think I went outside like twice during WrestleMania. I was like, I can't sit here. My ass hurts. Like,
I know. That's what I was
have to walk around.
I had to do that too, because I remember it's like you're trying to sit and you're like, okay, I'm going to get comfortable. And then it's like, 3.5 hours in and you've seen 3 matches and there's like 8 left and you're like, fuck. So you're like I got to get up and walk around and you're like, all right, I don't want to watch this, but you want to see the main event. So like you have to stay. Yeah.
It's WrestleMania 35.
Yeah,
in New York. There's one that was in New York.
That was when
there were matches.
We started being like, okay, Mania needs to be 2 nights if this is the shit you're gonna do.
Well, no, it was ironic or funny enough. It's the Mania before COVID hit, and before they decided to go to 2 nights.
No, I know, but I'm saying like in your mind, it was like that was the night where you're like, okay, maybe we should like have this on 2 nights or something, because this is
maybe makes sense.
This is because Mania got longer every year, since the first one. Like every year they added more. There was like performers, or there were different types of matches, or they made the show longer. So it was like it changed like every year. And so then once it got to that point where it was like a 7-8 hour show, you were like, if this is what it's going to be every year now, you have to put it on 2 nights, because I do not want to sit here and imagine the people there. You know what I mean? Like,
so here are the matches that went on to let's see if they should be matches at WrestleMania. Nope, that's the shop. Wrong one. On the kickoff show, we had...
Oh, yeah, because they also had the kickoff show, so it was like extra time.
Buddy Murphy versus Tony Nese. That's a kickoff show match, which I kind of remember being a decent match.
That's like a main event match, dark match.
That's a main event AEW dark match.
At that time,
the Women's Battle Royal, that's a pre-show match. Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, that's a pre-show match. Or I remember... Colin Jost and Michael Che were in that match.
Oh yeah.
And the
Why?
Revival and Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder were on the kickoff. Those were the 4. They had 4 kickoff show matches.
Yep.
And then to start, so then it was SmackDown tag team is Usos, The Bar, Shinsuke, and Rusev, and Ricochet, Aleister Black. That, wow.
Wow.
Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin. That didn't need to happen.
No.
Bobby Lashley versus Finn Balor, the Demon.
Rip.
Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio.
Oh gosh.
AJ Styles versus Randy Orton.
Banger.
Women's Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way. This was the Bayley and Sasha, Beth Phoenix and Natalya, Nia and Tamina, and the Iconics.
Iconic.
Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. I'll tell you right now, that match didn't need to happen. Only reason is because you need to get Roman on the card. Falls Count Anywhere, Shane versus The Miz. That was actually a fun match. I remember that. Triple H versus Batista in a no holds barred match.
Terrible.
Brock versus Seth. I remember that opened the show because Brock didn't.
Brock didn't want to be there all night.
He was so pissed that the women got the main event. And he was like, either I'm kicking off the show main eventing or I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
All right.
And Vince is like, okay,
I guess so.
okay, babe.
WWE Championship match: Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Mania, and then the main event obviously being Ronda, Charlotte, and Becky. So.
Becky 2 belts.
That was the longest WrestleMania ever.
Yeah, actually insane. But yeah, so we should be thankful because, like, you know, sometimes 2-night Mania isn't great because it is a lot of wrestling, but having to watch 2 nights of a show basically in one night is a heck of a lot worse. Trainer Red says, do you guys think Charlotte Flair's return would have been better if they showed her progress getting into the ring like they tended to do with Triple H? No. The thing is I think if Charlotte's return would have been better or would have been better received if she didn't win the Rumble. I think that's the problem. I think people didn't really obviously she has a lot of fans and I'm not discarding that. And even though we're not her biggest fans, we respect her. So, you know, I mean, I wasn't sitting here counting down the days for Charlotte to come back. But she's back. And I think it's similar to like Batista coming back and it was like, holy shit, Batista's back. But then they had him win the Royal Rumble and it was downhill from there. And it feels like they set Charlotte up for that in that way, because if she just came back, even in the middle of the Rumble, you know, instead of like near the end and didn't win, I think people would have respected it more and would have been more on board. That's why I was saying from the beginning, when we knew that she was going to come back at the Rumble, that the way to go about it was don't have her win the Rumble, have her win the Elimination Chamber, because then at least people would say she had to qualify to get into the Elimination Chamber and she had to take out 5 other women to get to WrestleMania. People could not complain in that regard about her getting another title match. But that's not what they did. They went with the easy thing. And yeah, so I think that this is why I feel like they had to have known that she was going to come back and get booed. Like, especially when the champions are Rhea Ripley and Tiffany Stratton. She's not coming back and getting cheered over those girls right now. She's not like Becky Lynch. She's not like, you know, if Sasha Banks or whatever. Those are girls that would come back and get cheered for basically over everybody. Charlotte isn't. She's not that girl. Do you agree?
I agree. She's more of it. Like, you can't expect her to come back to the fans embracing her and loving her. She's just too polarizing and embraces the hate too much to expect to bring her back in a babyface role.
Yeah, it wasn't gonna work.
It
Jay,
just doesn't work.
If you're talking about 2008, yeah, I don't know that there's really anybody that can say that they did not like John Cena coming back in 2008.
It's pretty tough. You really have to be a true contrarian at heart if you say that you did not like or don't think that Cena's return at the Rumble is not top 3 of all time.
Yeah. Well, and Charlotte didn't come back at 30. That was Nikki Bella. So let's not forget about that.
Yeah, it was not AJ Lee.
Wait, Is Jay and Jalen the same person?
Oh, did we just crack the code?
Did we just crack it?
Did we just who's the alter ego?
This is why I always fight with Jay, because Jay likes to fight with me on Twitter. Did we just expose? It is. Oh my god! Now this all makes sense. This all makes sense. There was a glitch in the vortex. We now know.
Look at us cracking codes.
Jay or Jalen loves to fight with me on Twitter, and
Jalen, follow me on Twitter, dude. Patty Pitts. I tweet wrestling too and nonsense.
But yes, yes. I was just gonna say, what are the chances that they just ask the exact same question? You know what I mean? Like, what is the chance? What?
Yeah.
Oh yes. Yes. Cena in 08. I can't even tell you. That is like one of my all-time favorite moments of John Cena, because I've been a hardcore John Cena stan since that man debuted in those little orange shorts. Okay. That was the day I fell in love for the first time at 13 years old. His Twitter handle is Patty Pitts, PADDYPITTS. That's it.
It's in the link in the description below too.
Oh yeah, we could also do this.
Yeah. You're already on it.
Yeah.
You're already on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my Twitter. Follow me.
Maybe you'll agree with his stuff more.
Maybe, because yeah, we'll see. It'll be nice to see that. Get followers. That's all we got for you guys here on the Smackdown Breakdown, presented by No Nights Off. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Jay, for taking your mask off in a sense.
Mask off.
Fucking mask off. And we will be back on Tuesday for the Raw Rewind. Can't wait for Raw Netflix.
We also already got our our Elimination Chamber predictions and previews show scheduled, so you guys know for Wednesday, whatever. So I already have like a bunch of stuff scheduled, so now you guys know when we'll be live.
Awesome. Sounds great. Thank you guys for tuning in. God bless. Remember that you could do it. All you gotta do is try. We will see you on Tuesday. Yes.